Why do I always start with the fucking cans on? Anyway, so tell me about your garb, dude.
Black Israelite. Or we call ourselves the ISUPK.
What does that stand for?
Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. That's the thing about the knowledge in the Bible. It's practical, man. If you don't apply the knowledge in the Bible practically, you're just going to be an Edomite, a heresy.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there are certain acronyms that are just black guy acronyms.
ISUPK is one of them.
Is 100% like a black guy.
I got a little Raza in me.
Yeah. yeah. Do you know that guy Charleston White?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a hat that just says the soft A N-word on it. But it's an acronym, and it says "Never ignorant, getting goals accomplished." It's like a trucker hat, and it just says it's like got a patch. And I remember when I first saw an interview of it, I was like, "Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I want the N hat."
Yeah, I'd wear that too.
And then I literally did computer enhance, and I like zoomed the hat, and it said "Never ignorant, getting goals accomplished," and I was like, I love this country. Like, I don't love what happened, but I love the position now that certain people find themselves in where it's like, okay, I'm going to start a nonprofit called that.
There's a scenario where you go to a church in Atlanta and the pastor's wearing that hat.
Yeah.
Like, there's a world where like you're talking to your accountant and he's wearing that hat being like, yeah, no, you actually, what's crazy is you made 6 figures in Forex this year.
Yeah. Like a prosperity gospel black guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a different type of, how do I say this? Like get my money up gospel. Mm-hmm. Like getting my bands right gospel. Yeah.
I will say Joel Osteen doing the prosperity gospel, I think that's cultural appropriation. I think that should be for fun black people. Yeah. Mean black people that find out about prosperity gospel that just use it to say that they curse me in the name of Jesus. That's mean white people too. Mean Mexicans love to curse people in the name of Jesus as well. You know what? I think just mean people in general. Yeah. I have had people rebuke me in the name of Jesus, and I go, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't feel good about what you just did.
I don't know about that. They can't rebuke me.
I don't. I like. We had Thomas started about this, where it's like, I'm not religious anymore, but every now and then I'll get like a pang of panic about like hell or getting like, or like back when I was a teenager and I was in youth group and I didn't believe in God, and I wore like skin tight black jeans and like a Black Flag shirt, and like old ladies would like in slow motion from across the church, like at me, and I would be like, in my head, I'm like, oh bitch, and then my heart would be like, she just like said, you're going to hell now because she did that to you. Yeah. Like you're fucked. Yeah, like a scene from like an Ari Aster movie, like.
I was wearing skinny. I got a big upside down cross tattooed on my leg, and I'd wear shorts everywhere in the evangelical world.
Yeah.
I'd be like, it's actually the Petrin cross. It's St. Peter.
Yeah.
Upside down, and just try to make it like a dunk on. Oh, so you're judging me by the way I look? Interesting.
Yeah, you're trying to. Yeah. You don't even know. That is such a like. The like very Reddit atheists, like, you don't even know your own Bible. Like they're not wrong. Like they're 100% right, but I think they miss the point of like, dude, that doesn't matter. They have their own, like, I was thinking about this the other day, like, about bro church. Like, they have their own type of Christianity that has nothing to do, when people are like, American Christians don't read their Bible. And it's like, no, they don't. No. They don't have to.
It's not the point.
It's about money and killing and punishment.
They get free daycare.
Yeah.
And they get to feel really good.
Yeah.
Do you feel good?
Have you ever felt good?
Yeah. Do you take part in like society in general and go, God, that's rewarding? Because do you know who does?
Prosperity gospel Protestants.
Those fellas right there, they're living. Dude.
They're having an awesome, and that was me, and like I've seen it now, like as culture shifts, right? Where like Twitter and Instagram, people are like, looks like somebody didn't read the parable of the, and I'm like, these guys have Ford Raptors and airplanes. They don't care about parables.
Yeah, Jesus could be caught in a border camp right now, and they'd be like, well, here's the thing about grace. Here's the thing about one thing. What God wants is a man that takes care of his family.
Yeah.
That's the big thing for Christians now. Is they're like, well, God just wants men to provide for their family. And it's like, I don't think Jesus talked about that one time.
No.
I think that's just how you live as an American. I think it's just like an American ideal.
You don't provide for your family. You're in debt because you have a truck and a jet ski. Like your son, you have $60,000 on an Amex for T-ball lessons. for your clearly gay son.
Yeah, microplastics made your kid autistic. You're not providing anything for your family. Edomite, devil, Edomite,
the fucking
white devil.
The fucking goddamn like the ways in which you can just go back to it being about money. Like I don't know if it was you I was talking about this at the old jiu-jitsu gym I went to. There's one church where all the guys go. It's I think it's called Red Rocks or like.
Oh, I went to Red Rocks.
Yeah.
I did the premarital counseling at Red Rocks.
Yeah, it's bro church.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Horrible. And it's fundamentalism and skinny jeans.
Yeah, and like big deep V's from like 2010.
Man buns.
Yeah,
and the type of dude that wears his hair in a bun that you go, that's a man bun.
It's so tight, and the bun is so immaculate that you're like, dude, what is this like an Avicii concert?
Yeah,
like what?
And you expecting some like Shogun Lord to cut it off you or something? This is nuts.
Yeah, and one of the main like associate preachers was like, dude, I watched the whole sermon. It was an hour and a half, and he kept hitting the flock with this one. He kept going. And the whole thing was about how people who say prosperity gospel is bad are doing bad theology. That was the name of the sermon. It was like, he was like, hey guys, I'm here to tell you right now, if you covet your neighbor and your neighbor has something you want, God provided him that. And if God's not providing you that, that's not a him problem. That's a you problem. And that's good theology.
Nice. Boom. Slam dunk.
And I was like, dude, hey man, I'm just a lowly Southern Baptist retard. I'm literally I grew up both religious and racist. That's just, but I feel like there's one thing that's pretty clear on. It's like that you guys are fucked.
Yeah, if your pastor wears off-white sneakers with the little limited edition release tag still on them, it's like, oh, I don't think you're gonna enter the gates of heaven, dude.
I don't think. Yeah, I think you might go to hell too.
Yeah,
for being like, hey, actually, if you read this parable like a certain way, he's actually telling you to go to the Bape store and drop 5 bands on them.
A friend of mine's a youth pastor there, right? So I go to that church and I go to like a Bible study that's just supposed to be about like general faith.
Uh-huh.
And it was just me and my bro who works there. And this guy starts talking about how he communes with angels that are currently stopping Russian tanks in the tracks for him, and angels are committing acts of warfare. And I was like, what, dude? And this guy raised his hand and he was like, hey, so like, because the Jews are God's chosen people, how come when all the Jews were praying for the Holocaust to end, God didn't end it? And he goes, well, if American Christians knew what was going on during that time, they would have been able to intercede. And I was like, that's interesting. And he also, he wanted to say Jews go to hell so badly, and that the Holocaust was the punishment for Jews. And you could tell he was dancing around that by being like, God put some of his people into certain conditions through
yeah, I know that one.
Various covenants they may or may not have made. And then certain lines of different tribes.
Yeah.
And it was like, then he said, he goes, I remember when we sent our troops over to Afghanistan, and the day before we sent those guys overseas, we had a line of them, hundreds, getting baptized, dipping them, getting baptized. And we took Kabul in 28 days. And it was like, what? And I asked him, I was like, yo, so do you think that like Americans' actions in like Afghanistan and Iraq and like generally in the Middle East, do you think that was like ordained by the good Lord? And he's like, everything is. And I was okay, fair enough. I was like, fair enough.
If you're consistent in the application of your insanity, like the old George H.W. Bush line of like, I will never apologize for anything that America does, ever. When asked about, I think, My Lai, when he was like kind of working for the CIA, and somebody was like, care to comment on the rape and murder of 300 innocent Vietnamese women and children? And he was like, I'll never apologize for anything America does, ever. And that was it. That
pretty cowboy.
Here's the thing.
Pretty cowboy response.
That's evil, but I kind of take the Malcolm X approach with like conservative thinking, where I'm like, look, if you tell me to my face that you hate me, you hate my way of life, you hate the way I think, you don't like my friends, you would, if given the opportunity or the green light from the government, you would take me and my friends to a field and shoot me in my head. At least I know where you and I are at.
And you know the thing about that is a conservative will be like, man, yeah, in my dream society, or the Black Israelites, yeah, in my dream society, you're literally my slave. What's up, man? They'll dap it up. They'll dap it up and be like, oh, do you want to smoke? Oh, how you man? Do you want to get a shot real quick?
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, we're not living in that society.
Right.
We're living in the belly of one of the greatest empires in history.
Yeah.
Where the poorest people in our country are still eating ice cream and driving trucks.
Yes. We're at a yellow light at best. Or like right before green to yellow, that's where me and you are at. So right now it's cigarettes and whiskey for me and you. If that light turns yellow, I'm going to look at you a little weird. And then if it ever turns red, yeah, I'm going to try to kill you. But like, yeah, no, I'm with you. Because on the other end, you have the fucking like the Bush era neocon types that are like, well, you know, some things are like the Lord works in mysterious ways. No, I want you to say the thing that you want to say. That's why this new brand of like, you know, super crypto Christian MAGA, I get it. I hate it. But I'm like, I respect at least that you're like, dude, I fucking hate you.
I respect Mormons the most.
Oh, yeah.
Mormons, this is literally their holy land. Like, when Christian nationalist, I'm like, dude, go fight for Palestine.
Go!
Our holy lands are literally being destroyed by Babylon. If you're a Christian nationalist, go protect the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. You know Go be a Christian nationalist in a nation built on Christian. Here, it's like, no, dude, this is Mormon land, dude. This is literally their Zion. One day they're going to run it all, and they are going to, you know, throw homosexuals off of buildings.
Do you know
but they're going to be so kind until they do?
I was straight noited fucking up one night, and I don't know how I ended up there, but I ended up on this like forum of, you know, some guy. It's one of those where it's like some guys in there are Marxists and other guys in there are. It's kind of like what we were just talking about. It's a very much a yellow light situation where it's just conspiracy theorists. Some are Marxists and some have names like John 1488.
Yeah.
And in that moment, we're just sharing redacted PDF files. And one of the
we're just linking to remote viewing articles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey man, I don't agree with what you do, but I do appreciate the research that you put.
Yes, exactly. Right now we're in the belly of the beast together, and one of them was like, one guy was like, you know who's buying up the most American farmland right now? And we're like. We were like, he was Jesus on the mountain. We're like, what? Because we're all like, I was like, some guy was like, the Chinese or whatever in this forum were arguing. And he goes, nah, man, here's the receipts. It's the fucking Bill Gates Foundation and it's the Church of the Latter-day Saints. Yeah. They're just eating up all American farmland. And like Bill Gates, I know what he wants to do. He wants to do this like effective accelerationist thing where like he's the like one of the tech god kings that rules over fiefdom and like he thinks he's building a better world. The Mormons are outbreeding people.
Oh, yeah.
Like 3 to 1, dude.
They're doing fantastic.
They have like 4 kids to like every one like normal Christian American family or whatever.
And the term is high control group, right?
Yeah.
But the thing people forget about high control groups is if there's high benefits to being in them, the likelihood of leaving is so little.
Well, it's
high control groups like the Amish or the Mennonites where it's like, oh, you mean where you never have to pay for healthcare because your community takes care of that, and the doctors are all people that you went to school with? Because Mennonites have more doctors than like any other fucking community.
It's your
in the
cousin
world.
or your neighbor?
Yeah, dude. I think I'll actually just never watch anime again.
Yeah.
I think I'll just abstain from everything because this seems so worth it.
I will not jack off or use my phone, and I'll go hang out with these cocksuckers.
Yeah, and Mormons also think they'll be gods with their own planets, and if that's even a possibility, yeah. If I believe that was even a possibility, I bet, oh yeah, I won't jack off.
Yeah.
I won't jack off for the chance of having unlimited wives on my own planet where I'm a god.
And powers.
Deal. And powers.
Yeah, the whole like that's why like the incel guys, I'm like, dude, if you move to Provo, if you're good with computers and you like understand money or something and you're just a dork that never got any pussy, move to Provo and you can like fuck a blonde bombshell.
Yeah.
She'll make you pancakes forever. She'll never argue with you. The only thing you have to do is ignore the fact that in 10 years she will cheat on you with the Soul Cycle guy.
Yeah.
But just accept that you'll get to make 8 children with her. And then inevitably, because of an emptiness of her soul for the life that she resigned herself to, she'll get huge fake boobies, bolt-ons, and then she'll start fucking yoga guys.
The internet ruined Mormonism because not only could they look up their beliefs and be like, oh, that's probably not true, but then also, like, these women that have this DNA programmed, the women and men out there that have, you know, 150 years of polygamy, found out what swinging is, and it's game over, dude.
Oh, yeah,
They found out that there's, like, subreddits called Salt Lake City Gone Wild, and they can go on there and have sex with their neighbors, and they're like, oh, dude, this is what Joseph Smith died for.
There was a guy I met in college whose parents he was from, not Provo, but a town, like, right next to it, and his parents were, like, you know, like, Brigham Young University types. Like his dad was a lawyer out there, and like, dude, he got to Austin. He was one of those dudes that was like, I was like, hey, we're going to go out. Like, you want to come with us? And he was like, I'm going to get my fake ID. And you guys are going to have to take care of me for the next 8 months. And he would just go buck wild, and we would get drunk. And one of those guys where like 3 beers in, he starts crying. And like, I get it. So I would do the same sometimes. Yeah. And he would be like, dude, it's all fucking like, we were watching True Detective season 1. And he was like, dude, that's Provo. He was just talking about like how everybody, he's like, all it is out there is like, it's fucking G-Wagons, dude. And it's fucking Rolls Royces. But like underneath that, man, everybody's like fucking raping each other. Fucking everybody thinks dog shit. And I was like, dude, I would trade that for the life I had. Yeah, when my dad drives a forklift, smokes crack for a living. Like, I would absolutely take your life. And he was like, I would take yours. And then you realize all men are brothers, even the black Israelites. You know?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I love the black Israelites. I swear to God, like 2 weeks ago when I ran into him downtown, because the priest and I, we still follow each other on Instagram, and he dapped it up, and I hugged him, and I talked to him for a minute. And then I'm walking towards Sunset, and a door guy I kind of know said, hey, man, did you just hug the black Israelites? And I was like, yeah, those are my boys, dude. I was like, I know those guys. I'll never feel cooler in my life. Yeah. One day, they will kill me. In their dream world, one day, I am there. Here's what sucks for them, dude. I'd be a horrible slave. If they make me a slave, I'd be like, okay, go. You cannot make me work. I will take any amount of beating. Yeah. You waterboard my ass. I will not work.
Yeah, I used to be a pillhead.
Yeah.
I used to like piss myself and shit my pants at work. like I'm not tough, but I'm also like very stubborn, and I think I might. I'm definitely afraid of dying, but I don't hate the idea. You know what I mean? Dude, being a slave of just an anime black guy who just got on the wrong side of the internet, instead of getting into taekwondo or jiu-jitsu, ended up on like Hotep forums, and he's just like, he doesn't know how to boss you around. Hey, turn my TV on, and you're like, okay, now, hey, no problem, man. Make me some ramen with an egg. Now, that's like it is on Instagram. Hey, no problem, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll get that done in just a minute, buddy. Yeah. They're anti-smoking weed, and I'd be like, I'd be your little demon, dude. I'd be a little stinky weed demon, and I'd be like an adult diaper baby lover, and I wear just a diaper around the house.
Dude, my fiance, I was scrolling through Twitter, X the Everything app. And Ben had sent me a video of a guy in a diaper fucking a big plastic pool toy dolphin.
Yeah.
And he's a famous sexual deviant on the internet. I think it's called Mr. Pool Toy or something. Okay. And Ashley was like, "What is that? What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, this guy." like I'm trying. Like, she's crazy and I'm not, and I'm normal. I was like, "Oh, this guy wears diapers." And
she just needs context.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, I'm on her close friends on Instagram, and it's all of her adult baby diaper lover kink. And her friends do diaper checks every day, where they all check and see if they're wearing diapers.
No.
So a close friend of mine, who's really good friends with this woman, I said, "Hey, you know, homegirl's like a diaper chick now, right?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm on her close friends. I've seen it." And I was like, "That's pretty wild. Does she doo-doo her pants?" And my buddy said, "No, I know why. Because, I swear to God, this is true. When you're an adult baby diaper lover person, and you de-potty train yourself, and you push yourself to, because you wouldn't just be able to shit your pants right now.
No,
it's so hard to shit your pants.
Well, I have IBS. I probably could, but I don't want to.
If you do that, if you cross that line, it's difficult to re-potty train yourself, and it's something you could deal with for the rest of your life.
No.
Yeah. And I was like, I would never roll those dice. I would never. I don't care how horny it could make me, because it would suck. I would hate for that to make me horny. I'm so glad, because I'm a horny guy. Sure, I'm not going to pretend like I'm not a horny, weird guy. I love horny, weird stuff.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that diapers are gross to me.
That's not your thing.
Oh, thank God, dude. Because if it was my thing, I'd be pissing myself.
Fucked. Yeah,
my wife would be just another thing for her to do is deal with my stinky diaper thing around the house.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Ashley doesn't even like when I joke about it. I was like, what if you came home and I had a binky? And she's like, I'd straight up leave you.
My wife would definitely leave me.
And I was like, I thought love was unconditional. And she's like, look, man, we've been through a lot together. We've been together a long ass time, man. But she's like, there are things that I could definitely hey, I'll do that for you. But she was like, if you had a binky and a fucking shaker and you had a big diaper on and I came home and you were in a high chair and your dick was hard, I'm literally packing and going to my mom's.
Yeah.
And she was like, and I would have to explain to my mother why I left, because she likes you.
Yeah.
She would want to know immediately why I left, and I would have to tell her that. And I was like, man, to your point, I'm so glad that that's not my thing because
It'd be pretty hard to respect her if she stayed too. Right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, be like, yeah. You just do this.
I have the impulse control of a saltwater crocodile, dude. If that was my thing, I would be doing that. I would be wearing it right now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy I don't want to wear diapers.
Yeah,
God, Christ.
I got lucky, I think, with my loadout. I'm pretty vanilla, man. Like I don't. I've talked to Thomas about this before. I don't. We were like, I was like, yeah, I think I'm just. Like, so I don't know, you meet people and they're open and talk. I have a buddy who was like, we were drunk one night and he like, I won't have to name him, but we were like outside my backyard smoking. He's swaying in the wind. Cool winter night, full moon. He's drunk and he's like, I got to tell you something, man. And this buddy of mine was in the military, in the Marines. He's like infantry or something. And I was like, is he about to do one of those things where he's going to tell me he killed somebody?
He's about to tell you, like, I snuck women to North America.
Yeah. And he was like, okay,
cargo planes down, dropping down in Peru from Iraq.
He's like, Jake, I got to tell you something. I don't even want you to say nothing. And I was like, okay, bud. And he was like, and don't fucking interrupt with some story of your own because you ain't going to relate to this. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I've been letting Melanie fuck me with the strap on.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, oh, dude, I thought you told me that you like killed somebody in Afghanistan.
For real.
You just get fucked in your ass by like a plastic penis? And he was like, yeah, sometimes I suck on it too.
Suck on it? That's gay. That's gay. That's gay. Okay, sorry, buddy, dude. I know you were a cook for the army or something. That's gay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's chill, man. Like, that's not a big deal at all. And he was like, yeah, I just figured I'd tell you. I was like, why? But also,
dude, you'd never catch me hogging on my wife's strap on, dude. Especially after? Oh, dude. No, it's fucking just a doo-doo popsicle at that point, dude. No amount of prep I can give to myself that there's not going to be doo-doo on that stick by the time she's done. I have her go deep. There's nothing sexually that I wouldn't enjoy. I remember the first time she was like, do you want me to peg you? I was like, dude, you could fucking shoot me in the head. You can do anything you want to me, and I'll come. I'd be so excited.
Yeah.
Fuck my ass. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Anything you offer to do, it sucks because now I want you to do it all the time.
Yeah.
Do not offer anything to me sexually new
that you're not willing to immediately do at a moment's notice.
2 months after we first started dating, my wife was like, oh, will you put your fist in my mouth? And there was like a good 8 months where I was like, let me get my fist in your mouth while I fuck you. Why? What was going on? I couldn't even fit my whole fist in her mouth. It was a weird... Don't ask me to do something sexually. If it makes me come one time, you know how dogs have that thing where if like they find a hot dog in a bush one time, they check it every single time you're on that walk?
Yeah.
That's me in different ways I can come. Where it's like, oh, you fucked my ass one time, baby, you're about to get abs.
Like we're at a nice dinner and you're thinking that I'm gonna fuck you later. Wrong. Nah, you're getting I'm getting the dick out. That's awesome, man. Respect. Yeah, there was like a moment in like 2000 like 13, 14, 15 like Tumblr era where like mild BDSM was like all the rage or whatever. And I was like hooking up with some girl in college at the time and she like everything was like choking or something.
Choke me, slap me.
Yeah.
Pin me down.
Yeah. And
put a gun against my head. All of that.
Yeah. And I like.
Put on a ski mask.
Yeah. That like, yeah. And she like.
Okay.
It was like, oh, it was like, we should try it. And I did. And I was like, yo, I need you to like not be into this. Because I was like, I don't think that I can. I'm not built like that, dude. I can't fucking. I don't know, man. I'm literally like.
Dude, I had a girl, she was like, put on the ski mask and fuck me. And I put on my ski mask and I was like, you can tell who I am because I'm naked though. And like the way I stood, she was like, take off the ski mask. This is so fucking.
This is not.
She was like, you looking like one of the aliens from MIB that enjoy coffee right now. I'm so grossed out by you.
It's like that.
You know who I am because of my tattoos. She's like, get the fuck. You're not getting it.
The IRA, like they're not letting you like fight. You're the guy who like drives the big truck to like to Derry to pick up the bombs. You're like, yeah, the reject or whatever. God damn it. Yeah, I fucking. That's why I do. Like I said, I'm not trying to double my money. I've never fucking. I'm so solid. Like, dude, there was like an inside joke running with my old housemates where everybody like had a fleshlight, and everybody would be like, "You got to get a fucking pocket pussy." I'm like, I'm not getting a fucking pocket pussy, dude.
Have you tried one before?
No, man.
Just as good as real pussy.
I don't fucking think I don't want.
I have had one pocket pussy in my life. It wasn't even the best one. It was back when Fleshlight used to sponsor everything in comedy in Austin.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
I got some. I don't even think it was my grab bag. I got a grab bag with a Fleshlight in it. Mm-hmm. I fucking poured some warm olive oil in that bitch. Yeah, I made her a Mediterranean woman.
Pesto style.
Yeah. I went absolute bananas on it, and it was no exaggeration, just as good as regular. I said, women can't know how good this is. If women found out, because I mean, you know how women will hibachi wand in front of you.
Oh yeah,
not
yeah.
Hibachi.
Hitachi.
Hibachi wand really ruin her.
Yeah.
You know when a bitch will flip a shrimp into your mouth and you like.
Yeah.
But if I tried to if I had that level of satisfaction with a fleshlight, I'd be arrested. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I
giving myself a leg shaker with one of those, I absolutely could do.
Calling into work type deal. Yeah. Sorry, boss man.
I'm flustered.
I've had a long ass day.
My wife's exhausted from fucking my ass all night, and I got this new pocket pussy.
Dude, I feel like the fucking what's that the story that keeps getting circulated of the North Korean dudes that are fighting in the front lines or whatever that ain't never had internet, and they're in Russia on Starlink, and they're just they won't leave the barracks because they can't stop pulling on it. Have you read about this?
No, it's so funny though.
So I don't know if I believe it because it's coming from the state, not the porn part, but the CIA and the State Department are we've found North Korean casualties in the Russia-Ukraine war, and I'm like, yeah. But anyway, other stuff I'm seeing from the internet is oh yeah, no, that's true, and also Russian special forces and guys that are that keep doing these rotations in and out are they're first of all, these are kids, they're young. Second of all, they don't speak Russian or Ukrainian, so they can't really fight or interact with us. Third of all, we can't get them to leave the barracks because they've never had actual internet, and these guys are jacking off 12 hours a day. They won't go to PT, they won't shoot, they won't go to the range. They're not going to they give them a crash course. Okay, this is mountain. Okay, this is how Ukrainian fight. They blah 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 blah. They won't go to that. They won't go to basic Russian school. They're just literally phone out, pulling on their little dick all goddamn day until they get tired.
It's funny that people think 1984. Yeah, you know what I mean. People are oh, dude, we're gonna hand over our own. It's dude, I would fucking most people will literally go to war to watch porn.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Absolutely, I'll hand over my own information and give you. Yeah, I will fucking join the front lines of a war to watch porn. Dude.
Yeah, if you I'm trying to think if you live in a place where maybe you've heard of a rumor, and you don't know what porno is. You've heard of a rumor that you can look at tits and ass all
Imagine
day.
Porn as the shadow of a cave.
Yeah.
The cave you're looking
Dude,
at.
You get to the front lines of Donetsk. You're in fucking Donetsk or something, and you're just you're gonna die. Yeah, I'd probably yank on it all goddamn day.
There's a hypothetical that I used to see sometimes that's you get that message that your state is going to be nuked and you have 24 minutes. And it's if I have drugs, I'll do them. Or I'd try to come as many times as I could in 24 minutes.
I'd autoerotic asphyxiate myself.
Oh, really?
No, not really. I think what I would do is I would start texting everybody that I still have in my phone with the last name White or the 8-ball emoji. Mm-hmm. I'm texting them and I'm hey, it's Jake, brother. I know we haven't talked in 5 years, but if you could get a ball to my house in sub 10 minutes, I'll give you $5,000. I don't know if you've gotten the text. But if you want $5,000 for no reason, you can have basically every dollar I have to my name, and you just bring me the 8-ball. Yeah, I ruined a. It was it was freshman year, kind of philosophical. Everybody smoking weed. It's what would you do, man, if it was the end of the world? And everybody was oh, I would fucking try to join up with my friends and I know how to garden, so I would be the gardener. I was sitting around passing around the blunt, and I was dude, I would probably go to the Ferrari dealership off I-35 South. I would take my dad's rifle. I'd go to the Ferrari dealership. I'd steal one. And if I didn't die then, I would go to the CVS and I'd get all the oxy. And then I would take a bunch of that and I would do 200 miles an hour until I hit something and died. And everybody was or one of my buddies was yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then I had a realization of I think sometimes you're just not, it's not, some people, you're just not supposed to say stuff. This is a genuine conversation that people are having. They think about this stuff in ways that's I would want to live.
Yeah.
And then you're I would want to die and I would want to go out fucking David Lee Roth. I would want to die bad. I don't want to DayZ this shit. Dude, that's why I don't believe people when they're I would, what would your job be in the revolution? I was
I'd be a poet.
Yeah,
I'd be a poet, or I'd be the guy that explains the Bible to Edomites and white devils.
Yeah. what would your job be in communist America? Like, I would kill myself. I wouldn't kill myself.
I'd probably be a coal miner.
Yeah, I would be it's so funny. We've talked about this, I think, when like people who say that, their job is always conveniently, they're like the commissar of wheat grain. or they're like they're like the state leader of like financial. It's like, dude, you would be digging a hole.
Yeah.
What do you think 90% of people did in the Soviet Union? 95. Like
pottery, I imagine.
Yeah, like there were poets and ballerinas and wrestlers. Yes. Just like there are poets and ballerinas and wrestlers in America. There were celebrities and there were guys that were famous and blah 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 blah. Just like there are in America. 90% of people just worked in a steel factory and then like got lung disease and died. Mm-hmm. Like there's I would be the best literature artist. I would be. You know what? I would be Stalin's right-hand man. Stalin would have shot you with a gun.
I think I'll be a barista who uses heroin. I think that's what I would be.
I think I'll do cocaine and open mics.
Yeah. Is door guy at comedy club a job under socialism? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I would. You know what? I think I would drive drunk and listen to Alice in Chains until I got arrested.
Dude, the first night I worked at Sunset Strip, I was seating people. I just remembered this because this couple came in and one of them was like super pregnant. And when I seat people, you have to tell them like, don't talk, don't film.
Yeah.
There's a 2-drink minimum, and so I tell her that, and she goes, "Does it have to be alcoholic?" And I pointed to her stomach. I said, "Yeah, we gonna make that bitch retarded tonight." And she laughed, thank God. And I was like, yo, how crazy risky was that, though?
That was a roll of the dice.
Yeah, and my manager was right there. And she's like, "Don't make that joke again." And I was like, dude, if I get the opportunity, I'm going to say it again.
Yeah,
it's like, if I get the chance, I'm going to say it to the next pregnant lady.
I don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah, it's not about her.
You picked the wrong door guy. Yeah.
Why did I say that? So I can tell my friend Jake 8 months later. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. Any chance I can have to have a good story, like I'm going to take that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fuck, man. That's
I
awesome.
dressed as Patrick Star for a party a couple weeks ago, and I put on like a pink bodysuit and then like Patrick Star shorts. Yeah. And I went to the gas station on the way to get like ice and beers and shit. And this girl on the inside asked me where I was going, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a pastor of a youth group." And then I got in the car, and I thought that was so funny. I was like, "Oh, I love that. I love that she thinks it's this weird guy with his like obvious penis out. He's gonna go pastor a youth group." I work at Red Rocks.
Yeah, I work at the church. Yeah,
work at the church.
I remember when I was still in youth group, and the youth guy, he was like, dude, I feel bad. He was really trying to break through to me because I was the guy like, that was like, hey, like, how do we know we're like the right one? That was like my biggest thing. I was like, I can get down with hell being real. But I was like, there's like
hell's obviously real.
Yeah, I was like,
as a young man, I fear hell. It's obviously real.
But I was like, there's like 2 billion Muslim guys, and I think there's like damn near 1 billion Jews, and then there's like a fuck ton of other weird magic shit. And I was like, if we just assume that all the Abrahamic ones are somebody, there's a 33% chance that one of us got it right. Mm-hmm. Well, what happens? Like, does God give us a little like, close enough? And he had to be like, no, like, only
he's pretty strict about this, actually.
Yeah, like through grace, salvation, so on and so forth. And I was like, yeah, but like, how do you know? And then like a couple of kids were like, yeah, like, how do you know? And so anyway, there was at one point he knew that I was like he could tell that I was into like doing kickflips and smoking weed, like drinking 40s behind like in a ditch, and like.
Doing
like,
kickflips and smoking weed is awesome.
Listening
if you're
to
15, doing kickflips and smoking weed.
Listening to Minor Threat and being like, I'm going to kill myself one day.
That rules, dude.
And so he gave me a Bible that was like, I'm not kidding, dude. It was like the awesome Bible for cool teen boys.
Nice.
And it like the inside cover did have a guy like on a half pipe. And then it had like some fucking Bible verse that was like, like something like, which one was it? It was like, it's like Matthew, something about like, he who goes through me, goes through my Father into the kingdom of heaven, and he who is not, blah, 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 blah. Basically, if you don't believe in me, you don't get saved. But it was a guy doing like a hand plant, like with a skateboard. And he was like, here, I got this Bible for you, man. And I was like, I realized in that moment, I was like, does God get mad at branding?
Yeah.
Does God get mad? It's like, do you have the word of my son above a dude doing a fucking like Russian hand plant, like in the X Games?
You guys know he like died, right?
He was
show some respect. Brutally murdered by the state,
tortured to death by Romans.
Yeah. What are you doing? It's horrible. There was like a big industry of bringing cool people to youth groups, like skateboarders, rock bands. Looking back, that was just giving like alternative semi-Christian guys access to teenage women.
For sure.
And it's like the amount of like Christian hardcore shows that like Christian hardcore bands from a different city before the internet would just drive 3 hours so they could molest women without any type of consequences.
100%.
Just nuts to me.
Well, that was another thing too that I always like. I never really clicked until I was a teenager, but like all of the like cool like the cool like dude, I used to fucking. Or it wouldn't say fuck. It was like, I used to, you guys know what heroin is? I used to be a heroin addict. I lived in the streets of Seattle. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. Was that an exciting part of my life? Yes. But now I know what real love is. I was searching for love then.
What, Sleeping Giant?
No, I don't know.
Okay. It sounds like Sleeping Giant.
But he would literally, he would just say that. But that guy that worked at, or he wouldn't work at the church. He would come by like twice a month. He worked for like a bigger church in Houston. He would always take particular interest in like the Christian horse girls. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the flared out Miss Me jeans and like the fucking bumped hair and like the, you know, like very, like their whole life is they're just got to marry a welder one day.
Them girls give the nastiest head. Them girls give the absolute sloppiest head on planet Earth, dude. They put in like 10, 15 years of training through celibacy from like high school to college. Them girls give head like it's their job to do it, dude. It is nuts.
Yeah. The fucking that realization for me that I was like, dude, like you said, like this guy's like a road dog comic. Like just getting trim in different cities. Like these girls would be like 18, 19 years old, like home from college in the summer break, and just like they would be playing G and C on the guitar and raising his hand and being like, if anybody has a sin that they don't want to verbally confess in front of everybody else, but you want to let the Lord know, you come here right now. And then a guy would come up, like a young man, and he would sit, like, lean his head down, and, you know, he'd play the song, and he'd be like, thank you so much, Connor, for coming up here. And then he would send him back. And then, like, another guy would come up, and then eventually one of those girls would, like, come up, and he would be like, come sit next to me. come sit next to me and sing with me. And they would sing, you know, like, Oh, How He Loves Us or something. And I was like, damn, you know, like, he's really trying to save these girls. And then, like, you hit 16, and you're like, nah, I think he's just trying to see their boobies.
You know, God has always given me a heart for women that are stacked with massive big tits. And women that have like fat, juicy, hot thighs that are like thick and chubby but not necessarily fat without cellulite. The Lord has always given me a heart for those types of women.
You know that Pokemon Mewtwo? God has granted me a power to speak to women who look like that, and then to speak to their hearts and to tell them, don't go to college and study education. Stay right here in beautiful fucking Copperas Cove, Texas, and get pregnant by me forever.
Later in life, you can be a nurse.
Yeah, you can be a nurse with a lot of gums. Well, you can have a fake tooth. Dude, I think sometimes, like, maybe, I know that you said you grew up religious too. Sometimes I think, because my mom and I, we're on good terms now, but for a long time we weren't, man. She just didn't get it. I think my mom, more than anything, wanted me to be that guy.
A Christian?
Well, no, like, yes, but specifically like, oh, man, job site's kicking my ass. You know, like a pipe fitter, you know, church on Sundays, but he's hungover from Saturday night, just poker with the boys, big jeans, big boot, big truck, just family man. You know what I mean? Just, you're 28 and you look 42 somehow. Just, you know, just one of those guys. And the reason I think that is because, like, every now and then I, like, you know, my mom would be like, oh, your cousin's in town. And it would be like Cousin James. And that was because, like, y'all should hang out together. And I would be like 14 and he'd be like 17. and he would be like, you like football? And I'm like, football's fucking gay. And he'd be like, you like to hunt? I'm like, hunting's for fucking fags, dude. Like, you gonna kill an animal? Cool. Like, just a pretentious little fucking, you know. You like baseball? Nah, it takes too long. Like, what do you like? I like fucking smoking fake weed off of Dr. Pepper cans and jacking my shit off until the cows come home. That's like what I'm into, dude. I'm a creature of like lower pleasures. I'm not into this fucking pious, quiet man bullshit. I enter a room and I'm hated immediately. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a loud idiot, and I've always been that way.
Have I told you about the Methodist church I go to?
I think so.
It's maybe. Like I'm the most dangerous person in that building. It's all old people and then like a few gay people and then like a couple younger people.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's all just people that are a billion years old. And I'm like, I try to like put on a nice shirt and cover my arm tattoos, but like it is very much like they are old Texans that I'm like, I hope I don't scare you. I know you wouldn't want to be on the same bus as me. You know what I mean? I look so much poorer than you.
What is are you like going to church consistently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going tomorrow, Sundays.
You back on the religious kick?
5 years ago. Dude, during COVID, especially leaving the movement, getting uninvolved in the whole Maoist organizations, fucking the dude being shot dead in the streets. It was something where I was like, I don't know I don't think I want to be involved in a terrorist organization anymore. You know what I mean? Still pro-terrorism. I just don't want to be involved in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I was kind of like, I got to replace it with something else. And I'm kind of like a universalist, right? Where I'm like, it's like you said, like I think one of the Abrahamics probably got it
Probably right, yeah.
If not one of them, it was like a rare one. You know what I mean? Like the Sikhs or something.
Yeah.
But, I started going back to church like 5 years ago.
That's cool. That's cool. I always like, sometimes I feel like the thing that I think they got right is like, we were talking about it earlier, it's like, it is, like, if you could just get one of those dumbass fucking like Maoist reading groups to like actually do community and like cook food for each other and like instead of just like browbeating somebody.
Yeah. Do you know what the Methodists do? Cook food for each other.
Yeah.
Methodists do food every day. They do servings every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like all the good part of what we wanted to be in Maoist, except they just do it on service for Jesus Christ and not because they're smarter than me. They're not doing it because they're autistic and smarter than me.
Yeah. You're not getting like browbeaten by a dude that like, if this was like an actual sort of state of nature situation, you could just rip his head clean off of his body. You know what I mean? Like that was the thing about like when I was more politically involved, like in my like late teens, early 20s, and it's like I'm having a guy tell me that I like my priorities and my principles aren't straight, like as if he's my boss. And in my head, I am thinking the same thing when I get chewed up by my boss at work, where I was like, I'm pretty sure I could just like eat you, dude.
What would happen if I just beat you to death? Would you be able to stop me?
Yeah.
Would we be in a fight, or would I just beat you to death? What would happen?
Yeah, would anybody in this room? Like, I'm not even a tough or strong guy. I just think that like you are right now. You're like, hey, you're using language right now that is very, very, very like you are transgressing in the people in this room, and I'm like, because I said that something was fucking like I said stupid, that's something that we talked about this like ad nauseum, but like I had this like light bulb moment where I was like, I'm not saying that there aren't leftist groups in the country that are doing real work, and maybe they are ready for the war.
I'm sure they're great ones.
But whenever I was in a room and I was like, hey man, you're talking about bombing and killing police officers, and you're pulling me aside to say that I made a joke on Twitter 3 years ago that somebody sent you, and it really upset you, and you're having a stern talking to with me about how I make people uncomfortable, and just 10 minutes ago, you were like trying to talk some guy down who maybe is a Fed who's talking about like pipe bombs and shit.
For real.
What are we doing?
I remember this one time this guy was talking to me about how he was convinced this 18-year-old heroin addict was a Fed.
Yeah.
And he was like, if you guys want, I can grind up some glass and put it in our heroin. And it's like, no one wants you to kill an 18-year-old girl. What are you talking about? And it's like, first off, no, you won't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest thing is I've told a couple people this story that go like, oh my God. And it's like, I get that reaction.
Yeah.
But no, they won't.
No,
they won't.
Yeah.
First off, no, you won't. And secondly, no one wants that.
Yeah.
Do you just want to have a moment right now where everyone goes, oh, dude, you're so tough. We have to hold you back, dude.
Yeah,
this is like the tough guy in the movie that everyone has to hold back from fighting right now.
Oh, Lennon's here, everybody.
Yeah. This guy's willing to say he'll murder a teenage girl. Dude, this guy's Mao.
He's the big communist guy. Yeah.
Oh, shit, dude.
Yeah, that shit sucks so fucking bad. And that was my whole thing where I was just like, dude, like, you guys, like, I don't think I've met more than maybe 2 genuine killers in my life. Maybe 3. And I think one of them was just a drug dealer who is in prison now for a long time. And the other 2 were just guys I knew that, like, at 18 were like, I'm an insane person and I need to go to the military. And now they just work in the plants and they make, like, plastic all day. But, like, having like a 20-year-old political science major, I'd be like, hey, if I need to, man, like, I'll chamber the AK right now and we'll go. And it's like, oh, the AK that you got off Texas Gun Trader that sat in your closet like magazine not loaded.
Yeah.
There's dust on it. Like that one, the one that I know you've never taken to the range.
The one that was more expensive than a functional AR-15. The one that was significantly more expensive than something that takes NATO rounds.
You paid $800 for this thing that, like, if you were in a situation where you have to pick up ammo off the ground, you will not be able to use it. You're fucked. Like, yes, like, they don't, like, yeah, they're pretty hardy and they can, like, take a lot of damage, but, like, the Americans solved that problem with the M4 carbine like 40 years ago. You know what I mean?
It's funny when people talk about AK-47s like that, too, because it's like, hey, you're like a fake gun guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a gun guy.
Yeah.
You're a fake gun guy, though, because it's like people are like, well, thing about AK-47s is reliability. And it's like, you saw that in an article from the 80s. Like,
yes. Yeah.
You've no idea what you're talking about.
No. Like the thing is that aesthetically, yes, the Russians and the Chinese figured it out. They look great.
SKSs, awesome. Looking guns.
AKMs,
Awesome. The little Turkish tiny AK-47 pistol, AK-74, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Dracos look great.
So cool.
Yeah. And
Uzis are bad guns that look cool.
Yeah. MP5. That's different. But again, it's like, and it's the people's weapon. Of course, it's been used in counterinsurgencies and guerrilla warfare, blah 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 blah, forever. But to your point, it's like you heard somebody say online, or maybe you heard in a documentary that, like, oh, you know, round for round in the Vietnam War, or like all of the battles of the Cold War, the M16 was secondary, blah, 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 to the AK-47. It was like, yeah, the Americans do this thing where they spend trillions of dollars to make a gun shoot 2% better.
Yeah.
You know, and they do that, and that's why, like, everybody uses, like, what are that's like the adaptive combat, the ACR, or they use an M4 carbine. Like, they're just, and again, I'm not a gun guy either, but I have friends. I remember I said that one time, like, to like a buddy of mine who's like a legitimate redneck gun guy, and I was like, yeah, you know, Americans don't want to admit it, but AK-47 is a superior gun. And he was like, what makes you think that? And I realized I didn't have any evidence to support that claim at all.
I've been in the same exact boat as like a young 20-something communist.
Yeah.
Learned it because, you know, when you learn that kind of aspect of history where it's like, oh, Soviets beat us in many ways that they shouldn't have. That's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, buddy, we caught up. we caught up and surpassed.
Yes,
man. There's a reason we exist and they don't anymore.
Of course. Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. The like it's an overused term, but like the LARPing thing of like they were so much like more advanced, and it's like they are way more advanced than we learn about.
Yeah.
Of course they were. Like they went from an agrarian backwater country to like a global superpower.
Sending fuckers to space.
After 2 world wars and a civil war where they lost 60 million people in total. Incredible. We don't have to pretend like they invented like the time machine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if anything, that just like fuels the fire of like American ingenuity of like, oh, like you're lying to yourself, because any libertarian like rah, fuck around and find out retard that knows a thing or two about U.S. history will be like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
These people in the 80s were like everybody knew it was over. They all knew it was over, like, or whatever the fuck, and Reagan knew it was over, and Gorbachev knew it was over, and they kept the fucking show going for like, you know, theater or whatever the fuck. I don't know, but yeah, it's so annoying. That's why like we talked about it. Like I would love to get like back involved in like to some degree, you know, maybe doing like brake lights or stuff like that, simple shit. But you meet a motherfucker like that still. Like,
last thing I did was the free fridges.
Yeah.
You know, those around Austin?
I
built some of those out, and I met one person involved in the organization, and I was like, oh, you're a weirdo who's going to get people arrested. And I was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
The way I see it is I grew up a fundamentalist Christian, right?
Yeah,
I grew up a Jesus camp type of homeschooled. We're going to, you know, the Jeremiah prophecies. We're going to take back this nation for Jesus. And then I don't get out of that until I'm like 18. And then I go right into, you know, Marxism, Leninism, Maoism, right into Red Guards, right into that whole world. I think the best thing I can do for this country is to never be political again. I think the best thing I can do politically is to, like, I have a Traeger grill, and I throw on pork ribs, I throw on pork belly, I did a miss bomb or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
A Chinese style pork belly. That's what I should do.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be anywhere near any political or ideology or theory.
No.
I should be barbecuing with my wife. I should be going to parties dressed as Patrick Star.
Yeah.
I should be hanging out with the black Israelites.
I should be doing open mics.
I should be doing open mics.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be in a political org.
No,
I shouldn't be a cadre. I shouldn't be a
Vanguard.
Yeah,
no.
I should be a fella that has a lot of correct opinions.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. I don't. That's my thing. I don't want to do. It's not that I don't want to do it. I think like. This is admittedly profoundly privileged and selfish, but it's like you hit like 29 and your life kind of starts to like get this groove where you don't want to kill yourself and you go, I don't want to die in a fucking people's war.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Because I was like, you're 22 and you're like addicted to pills and you're like,
I'm gonna die.
Yeah, some white nationalist guy could shoot me.
Yeah, I'm ready to fight and die fascist.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then like you pay a car off and you go, I don't. You have a savings account for the first time in your 30 years of life, and you go, I don't know if I want to die anymore.
I remember when I was like out bad with the Ballast orgs in 2018, 2019.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
I was given an option to go to restitution, and they're like, it's going to involve moving to Pittsburgh or Kansas. I'm in my early 20s. I'm a fucked up guy. I was doing some drugs at the time, and I remember thinking like, yeah, I should do it. And my now wife was like, hey, why don't you try to get a really good job? And I got a cold calling job, and for the first time in my life, I had enough money to pay an attorney to get a legal ID. And for the first time in my 20s, I had a driver's license and no warrant. And I was like, oh, I don't want to die.
I don't want to go to a camp where I learn how to be a guerrilla warrior.
Yeah.
Here I am
I don't want to go down to the swamp to learn how to unpack and pack AK-47s. I don't want to do that at all.
It's kind of a similar situation. I wasn't in as deep as you were in, but I remember like getting a couple. For me, it was a couple like, hey, you should come talk to these guys. Like they because I used to run that self-defense class in Rosewood Park on the east side, and I guess a couple people
right on the tail end of anarchists and Maoists getting along.
Yeah, and a couple people had heard about that I think were like actual people, and I like, hey, this guy wants to meet you, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm fucking super down, and then I didn't go because I stayed up all night doing coke.
Hell yeah.
And then I like somebody like messaged me, was like, hey, and I was like, oh, I had a realization where I was like, yeah, man, like I was thinking about what I knew about like revolutions of the last 100 years, and I was like, dude, fucking Fidel and Che and a bunch of guys went to Mexico and trained for like a year, and then when they landed on the shores in Cuba, a bunch of them died and got eaten by alligators, and then there was like 12 or 13 of them left. A lot of their guns were waterlogged, their boots were waterlogged, they were eating fucking like just shit out of the fucking swamp, and they walked and they were just getting fucking murdered in droves. And then they would like take a little bit of land over, and then it would get taken back, and a bunch of them would die, and they would walk for 40 days, and they would get their feet blistered, and they would fucking dysentery. And then you read about fucking Lenin and those guys, like they were robbing banks and getting tortured by like the White Army was like raping these guys and like cutting their dicks off and shit. And, you know, you read about the Vietnamese and then what the fucking Cambodians were doing to them, and then like what the CIA was doing, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, like, no, I think I want to like play emo music.
Yeah.
Like, I think I want to do key bumps and drink PBR. Like, and then you say that to people, and they're like, they'll hit you with that Mal quote, like, dare to struggle, dare to win. And I'm like, I'm done struggling.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Done.
And they're like, you've never struggled.
Never had to dare me to struggle.
You've never struggled like the people. And I'm like, fucking guess what, dude? If you want to call me like a class trader, cool.
Cool, man.
I've traded. I'm fucking, dude, I got a fucking shit box.
I'd do everything but go fed at this point, man.
Yeah.
I'd do anything but go fed at this point.
I'm not Sieg Heiling. I'm not going fed. That's what you get from me.
That's about it. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't even be tempted by fashion. I am happy that I learned enough about Marxism to where, because I'm a dumb guy, right?
Yeah.
And I guarantee if I didn't have like a good political understanding of the world, I'd be one of those guys that's like, no, RFK makes some points, man.
Yeah, of course.
Listen to what he says.
Of course.
Listen to what he says.
100%.
And people make him sound like an idiot because they don't understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
I would 100% be one of those guys. I'd be flirting with fascism on accident.
I'm a gullible idiot.
So I am very glad that, you know, I have read enough Marx and Lenin to be like, okay, I could never be fascist on accident.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our friends, and I mean this, my friends that start flirting with fascism, I go, you're just dumb, dude. You're just a dumb guy who got sucked into a little alt-right pipeline, and you think public school teachers want to fucking make your kids trans?
Yeah.
You know, and I go, hey, you're not harmful yet. You know, you're a dumb guy who's watched the wrong reels on Instagram.
And they feed that shit to you.
Yeah, they do.
That's why, like, that was another thing where, like, you get the people that are like, these guys have to die, and I'm like, the guy that's my manager at Domino's?
No, they don't.
He makes $14 an hour, and he watches, like, he was watching, like, Roosh V videos, and he never ever got his penis touched even one time, which, whatever, that doesn't necessarily justify being a fascist, but I was like, this guy isn't, he's in a danger to anybody. If you showed him one video that was, like, all of these fucking, like, pickup artists, right-wing guys, they're all, like, related to intelligence, he would probably be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, really? All right, let me think about it. And then within 6 months, he'd be out of it.
You know what's great is conspiracy theories free a lot of fascists from fascism.
Yeah,
because they go, oh, the right wing doesn't have my back. I go, yeah, they don't, buddy.
Yeah.
And a lot of them kind of just float around in this weird nihilistic libertarian. But conspiracy theories and the fact that like good journalism is labeled as conspiracy theory, absolutely frees so many men from that pipeline because they're like, wait, no, all of the politicians that the right guys are down with are just fucking feds in an Apex pocket. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I realized getting into, like, parapolitics, like CIA, like, how bad they are, the most evil organization in the world, or, like, you know, FBI killed MLK, all this stuff, is that it produces two types of people, politically speaking. Well, three types. Door number one is your libertarian standard issue guy. Door number two is your, like, diehard, like, psychotic, autist, Marxist guy. And then the third one is your white nationalist. And my running theory is 1 and 3, they stop, like, right here where they're like, the right-wing guys are like, oh, the FBI, like, they set up white nationalists so I don't like them. And they like, you know, they honeypot us. And I'm like, you're this close.
Yeah.
You're this close, brother.
So close.
Because they want to fund you guys to kill everybody else. That's what they did all over the world for 100 years.
Yeah, they're expert mode on doing that.
Yeah. And then
their go-to strategy.
Yeah,
they want number one fodder.
They want you guys to do their dirty work because if they did it, they lose plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and then with the libertarians, it's like people have gotten mad at me, like in Discord sometimes arguing politics or a couple friends where I'm like, I'm so sympathetic to the libertarian worldview because if you're just a normal apolitical American teenager, especially a man, and
you should like RFK. You should be a weirdo libertarian.
Right, like you want to build, like you want to like get in shape, and food is poison. Yeah, pharmaceutical companies do test on black people and poor people. And yeah, the like everybody in the Sackler family. Like, I get why the Soviets killed the Romanov children.
Oh, dude, imagine having a shot at the Sacklers.
Dude, you give me a gun, like a full magazine. Yeah. The kids are going too.
Anyone in Appalachia across any side of the spectrum, would go banana fucking Donkey Kong on the Sackler family given the opportunity.
I'm killing everybody.
Those same people would say, well, the communists, they just slaughtered the Romanovs, no reason.
Yeah.
And then you say, yeah, dude, I'll give you fucking 30 minutes alone with the entire Sackler family. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, dude, they're going to rip off their clothes, drink moonshine, and go with their ancestors did.
Yeah, they're going to eat
mountain people.
They're going to eat their bones.
They're going to eat their fucking bones.
And so, like, I get why guys, like, because you find out all this shit. Because, when I was a teenager, I was libertarian for, like, 2 years.
Dude, we all were.
Because I was like, because you find out all this shit and you go, wait.
It's the first things you learn about, too.
Yeah, you find out all of this stuff is a dog and pony show. Mm-hmm. You find out it's all, like, literally not, like, it's all bullshit. Well, some of it, no, it's all complete horseshit. Like both parties fund genocide. Both parties rape kids. Both parties sell drugs. Both parties assassinate global leaders who just don't want to play ball with the U.S. government. Both parties traffic human beings. Like, and you go, okay, well, if that's true, then the only thing I can be is like an anti-state guy.
Yeah.
And there's only one type of socially acceptable anti-state guy in the U.S., and that's libertarian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every teen dude should be a libertarian at some point.
For like 18 months.
If you have any form of logic or empathy, you're going to have that exact pipeline where you're like, the EPA is just run by people that used to work in oil. Oh, regulation is actually just a form of exploiting those businesses and those industries, and that should be your first step. Mm-hmm. Your next step is to learn more about like the way that capital moves, the mechanisms of power, where surplus value comes from, all that stuff. You'll get there. Yeah. But the first step is being like, you know what? I don't think Wiener Schnitzel selling us 5 for $5 is loving us. I think that might be hating us. But that's the uncomfortable part of bodily autonomy. And they go, that's the uncomfortable part. Well,
I think again, it's like I think you missed the forest forest for the trees when you're just like, oh, so the way that you combat that is like joining the Mises Caucus, and then you basically build these like little city states where there's no federal government. And I'm like, dude, I'm kind of exaggerating only a little bit. My personal opinion, that's what we have now. I think we live in a libertarian's wet dream, kind of.
To an extent, yeah.
Where I'm like, people are like, no, there's like bloated bureaucracy and red tape. And I'm like, only for public good.
Not for super powerful people.
Not for private. Like, you live in a world of monopoly. Like, even Adam Smith, the guy that wrote Wealth of Nations, like the godfather of like modern capitalist thinking, was like, yeah, I believe in the vile maxim, which is that, the go-to philosophy of the masters of mankind is all for myself and none for everyone else. I believe that's true. I also believe that if you act in your rational self-interest, eventually the thing you'll run into is what's called a monopoly. Also, I think that that's mostly fine, and monopolies can be dealt with through some sort of thing. And it's like, no, I mean, you live in that world now.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk doesn't like the free market. He hates it.
He hates the free market.
Jeff Bezos hates the free market.
Free market's their number one enemy.
Yeah, they don't like it. And then it's like, well, you'll hear a guy be like, well, the free market produces the best. And I'm like, what?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
The CIA invented Amazon. The CIA made Facebook.
It's called LifeLog.
Yeah.
It's like, what
Pentagon shut down that program and then popped it up in a college with some douchebag.
Yeah, he wanted to rate girls' butt cheeks.
Yeah.
And then the CIA was like, we got this guy.
Dude, here's the thing. Imagine there's a world where Mark Zuckerberg didn't get that shit stolen. Mm-hmm. Instead, he had that Facebook, and it just kept being a hot or not. And he was known as just like a weird, horny guy, and he didn't get rich until Bitcoin. That is totally a trail. You know what I think about a lot is how Bitcoin suddenly overnight made every pedophile on Earth a billionaire.
Or yeah, like I know guys who were using it to buy Molly in 2013 who like they just straight up have a fuck ton of like money, and they don't do anything with it. Mm-hmm. It's just they're like, I've got like 80 grand in Bitcoin. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if I don't, because I bought Molly off there like 2 times. But
if I would have had the money I spent in 2011 to buy shrooms off of the dark web, I would be a billionaire.
Yeah. I think I
billionaire.
I think I had like I used like half a Bitcoin to buy like a fuck ton of ecstasy one, or I don't know if it was Bitcoin at the time. I don't remember what it was. It may well have been, but
my friend Emily bought us. And I thought about it, and I was like, how much did it cost? So I looked it up, and this was years ago, and it was like, oh, we spent like 12,000 Bitcoins on on mushrooms, which was like $300 at the time.
That's crazy, because I thought Bitcoin was way more. I don't even remember.
Bitcoin used to be a fraction of a cent. That's why it made people billionaires. It's because Bitcoin was a fraction of a cent. Mm-hmm. It was like 0.005 cents. Mm-hmm. You'd buy a piece of pizza for 20,000 Bitcoins. Yeah. Like there's a funny poster online from like 2010 where it's like first place $5,000, second place $500, mm-hmm. third place $10,000 or 10,000 Bitcoin or something like that. Where it's like, people that used to use that because Bitcoin was mostly for illegal shit online.
Drugs and CP,
Yeah. So, like, all the child porn weirdos overnight became billionaires. Where it's like, dude, I'm sure that fucks society in ways that are really complex and hard to understand.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking, somebody the other day was, like, bullshitting about like, OpenAI got, like, $500 million from the federal government of the Trump administration to, like, invest in this, like, generative kind of eagle eye, like federal AI that does these things. And this is one of my buddies was like, dude, imagine like, so apparently in one of the Civ games, communism is like OP, like it produces like the most, like the computer that run, I think it's Civ or one of like Humankind, one of those games where you like start as a caveman and whatever. Mm-hmm. Communism, it like produces the best like outcomes for the game, and so streamers, whatever, it's, gay Reddit bullshit. But he was like, dude, imagine they get what they want and they build this like Matrix Agent Smith AI, and it's just like runs all the numbers, crunches all the shit, and they go, oh, you guys that built me are the enemy. I'm like, they build a Maoist computer. They just like the
landlord bought 3,000.
Yes, yeah. Like they wake up one day, like all the tanks are just on the White House, and they're just like, and they're like, what's happening? And the AI just has like a big booming voice, just speaking perfect Mandarin.
Everyone just gets a Google update on their phone for a People's Tribunal in my Google Calendar.
Yeah. And they're like, because this whole thing is, they're like, that like Rocco's Basculus. You ever heard of that? There's this forum called Less Wrong, and Rocco's Basculus is this thought experiment where if you help build the AI God, it will remember you and it won't kill you.
Yeah.
And so like this guy on Twitter was just like, dude, what if you they build like an accidental thing, and then this thing is like, oh, it's like trying to figure out how to make humanity safer and more efficient. And so it just like reinvents some sort of like gay space communism, like fully automated luxury, whatever the fuck. And then it just like just starts blowing these guys' cars up. Where it's like, oh, you're the ones polluting the rivers of this place, and like you're like killing each other.
It's time to lock down some Teslas.
You gotta blow those fuckers up. I think we just hit an hour, and I don't know how the camera goes. You got anything you want to plug, JT?
Check out my podcast, Bad News, with Sam Castillo at the. That's it. Check it out.
Yeah, hell yeah. You got anything to say, Kitty?
This is Besito.
Besito.
Means
She's sleepy.
Beso.
All right, peace, guys.
God bless. One love.